Hi, let's talk about scaling proportionally on Illustrator. Mind you, this particular method works perfectly well for all Adobe suites, InDesign and Photoshop. So let's get started. Now I'll be creating a basic shape. I'm creating a rectangle to creating a rectangle. Then so I can decide to drag to draw the shape, or at the same time I can decide to draw a square. To draw a square, just right click once and determine the size yourself. So let's say 10 by 10. Okay, then I have this size of it. That's just 10 pt and it's very small. So I can increase the size of this square proportionally. How do I do that? Click on the selection tool, then this side you drag it. If I drag this way, I'm going to lose the proportion of the shape. So to maintain the proportion of a shape in each of any of these software, InDesign, Photoshop or Illustrator, just hold on the shift key, then you can increase it, scale it proportionally at the edge. But now if you intend to scale it proportionally at the center, then hold on shift, then halt, then it will scale at the center. So that's how it works basically. So there are still more options to that. There's still more options to that. So there is another method which I'll also be showing you just right now. So if you're using the tool, you can also use the free transform tool by clicking on it. Then we come to the edge, then drag and drag and drag. But mind you, we're still going to use the shift key to maintain the proportion. Then we can also use the scaling. The scaling tool can actually help us adjust at a particular or a specific size by clicking on the scale tool. So we can see the scale tool around the rotate, close to the rotate, or after a razor tool. Then just hold down. You see more options of it where we find the shear tool, the reshape tool. So clicking on the shape tool and our shape has been selected. Then we just click double click on it. Then double clicking on it, we can decide to scale it uniformly or scale it non-uniformly. We can preview settings or adjustments depending while working. So if you're scaling it uniformly, let's say this only 54%, let's give it 100% and see 100% scaling. Let's give it a 50% scaling. 50% scaling. So that is it. Then we can decide to scale it non-uniformly. If scaling non-uniformly means we can scale this at 50 and vice versa, scale it at 25, just depending on what we want. But 100, that's the uniform scale. So now that is that. Now in a situation, let's try to fill the color and see if and talk more about shape with effects and strokes. So the stroke color is black. Yeah, it's black. Let's make the stroke color blue. Then let's make the fill color. Let's make the fill color red. Yeah, let's make the fill color red. Then the stroke is blue. Now the stroke is looking very thin. Let's increase the size of the stroke to about 10. Okay, so that's the size of the stroke that we have. Now if we have this size of the stroke, how can we, if we decide to scale it, let's see what we have. So if we're scaling it, let's scale it by 200. So we scale it by 200. As you can see, the before that, let's duplicate it. We can also duplicate just holding on Alt with dragging and positioning it right here. Let's delete this. So now we have this by this side. Then let's scale this, double click. Then we can let's increase the size by 200 uniformly. Can you see the stroke thickness still remain the same? So let's work on making the stroke different, the uniform scaling. So stroke scale, strokes, and effects, then it's going to follow the same proportion with what we've already given. Scaling uniformly then. So that is that about scaling and proportion in Illustrator, and I said it works on Photoshop, it works on InDesign also. Thank you very much for staying to the end of the class. See you in my next video.